reading, we saw, actually, let me tell you that what happened so far. Uh, that Mrs. Pearson had come to her own house, and though she was hesitating because she had come to see that what type of treatment her son, daughter, and husband were receiving from Mrs. Fitzgerald. Now, at this, George Pearson came and sat without exchanging any words with Mrs. Fitzgerald. At this, his wife was so much angry with him, and the wife actually started to teach him that how he should behave with when any friends or any neighbors should come to their house. And at this, he was so much agitated. At this, George Pearson could not tolerate all this, and George Pearson started to shout. At this, his wife was so much agitated that she threatened Mr. George Pearson that she would slap a fat face. We must not forget that his wife means it's not originally his wife, it was Mrs. Fitzgerald. We know that they have interchanged their personality, and the rough treatment that all the family members have received, it was from Mrs. Fitzgerald, not from Mrs. Pearson. But here Mrs. Pearson had come to her house to see that, to experience what is going on over there. Now, and this George Pearson told actually that slap like this, George Pearson, I will slap your big fat silly face. And before that, the last dialogue that George Pearson, I'm reading from page number 48, that George Pearson told this to his wife, that what's the matter with you? Have you gone Burmy or what? Burmy means mad. George Pearson told this to his wife, that have you gone mad? What's the matter with you? At this, Mrs. Pearson, though it was Mrs. Fitzgerald, she told, jumping up savagely means wildly, she jumped up, she stood up and tell, if you shout at me again like that, George Pearson, I will slap your big fat silly face. The wife told that I will slap your big fat silly face. Now really, in front of a neighbor, if really threatens a husband to slap on that face, must be, it must be very much disheartening. It's a great insult. So it must be a great insult to Mr. George Pearson, because in front of a neighbor, wife is threatening to slap him. Now Fitzgerald, at this morning, Fitzgerald now started to cry. Fitzgerald means actually Pearson, because now it is the real wife. The wife saw that somebody else was threatening to slap her husband, and now she shouted, oh no, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. She actually lost this sense that she was Fitzgerald, means after exchanging their soul, she was Fitzgerald. She was looking like Fitzgerald. But in that heat of that moment, when she could not control herself, and now she actually told this, no, Mrs. Fitzgerald, now being Fitzgerald, she was looking like Fitzgerald, she was looking like Fitzgerald, but now she implored, no, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Now Mrs. Pearson sits, and Mrs. Pearson sat there, George staring at her bewildered. George was looking at Mrs. Fitzgerald. Either I am off my chump or you two are, Mrs. Now, George actually did not react to this, but he was surprised. What is going on here? Mrs. Fitzgerald was imploring Mrs. Fitzgerald. Actually, Mrs. Fitzgerald was telling Mrs. Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald was telling Mrs. Pearson as Mrs. Fitzgerald. What is going on? He could not understand, and that's why he told that either I am off my chump or you two. Off my chump means whether I have lost my all sense, whether you have lost all your senses. How do you mean? No, please, Mrs. Fitzgerald. Look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald. Now he was telling to Mrs. Fitzgerald. What do you mean by Mrs. Fitzgerald? Now look, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald. So why are you telling yourself to stop when you are not doing anything? And now the surprised George told this to Mrs. Fitzgerald, because Pearson was looking like Fitzgerald, and she told Pearson, "Why you telling Fitzgerald, you are Mrs. Fitzgerald? So why you are telling yourself to be stop? Okay, when you have not done anything, tell her to stop, and there would be something, some sense in it." And she told Fitzgerald that tell her to stop. Her means he wanted to mean his wife, Mrs. Pearson. Tell her to stop, and there might be some sense in it. Now, staring at Mrs. Pearson, George was looking at his wife. "I think you must be giggly." Giggly means drunk. Now, Fitzgerald told to his wife, "I feel that you're drunk." Now, Pearson, wife said again. The wife got very angry. Just a few minutes back, she threatened the husband to slap. Now, the husband told him that, "I feel you were drunk. You're drunk." Now, at this, the wild wife, because now she became very angry and told, "Say that again, George Pearson." George Pearson, she was calling his wife by his name. She was calling his husband by his name. "George Pearson, tell this once." Now, George intimated. Intimated means fearing, getting scared of. Intimate. All right, all right, all right. George Pearson was that sort of person that who did not want this type of, he always loves this peaceful condition. He doesn't want this, that quarreling, that problem, unpeaceful condition being created, agitation. He did not really like. That's why he realized that his wife is getting so much angry whenever he told his wife that you might be drunk, and that is why you were saying like this. And this wife was so much wild, so much savage, so much angry. But Mr. George Pearson wanted to cool down his wife and telling this, "All right, all right, all right." Now Doris enters, left slowly, looking miserable. She is still wearing the wrap. Mrs. Pearson sits on the settee, and Mrs. Pearson again sat. And at that meantime, Doris entered. She has not completed her dressing. She was still wearing the wrap. Wrap means that outer garment. She was still in the process of dressing. Yeah, Fitzgerald. "Hello, Doris dear." Fitzgerald told, "Hello, Doris dear." Fitzgerald means it was a real mother. So real mother told this. "Hello." Now Doris means sadly. "Hello, Mrs. Fitzgerald," because she was her real mother, but she was looking like Fitzgerald. That they haven't changed their soul. Now Fitzgerald, "I thought you were going out with Charlie Spence tonight." As being her real mother, she knew that my daughter had a plan to go out with Charlie Spence, her boyfriend, and that is why mother asked this to real mother, though she was looking like Fitzgerald, but real mother asked this to her daughter that, "I thought you were going out with Charlie Spence tonight." Now Doris annoyed. Doris at this annoyed. "What's that to do with you?" Doris was angry because mother had scolded, insulted her, and if somebody else from neighbor had come and asked you why you are looking like this, what you are doing, something this, so you must be annoyed with that person. So here Doris, it has come with Doris as well. So Doris was not happy with Mrs. Fitzgerald and told that, "What's that to do with you?" Whenever Mrs. Fitzgerald asked that, "I thought you ought to go out with Charlie Spence." And this Doris was so unhappy and told Mrs. Fitzgerald that, "What's that to do with you?" Now Mrs. Pearson, mother, sharply, "Stop it!" Mother now shouted, "Stop it!" Now Fitzgerald nervously, means real mother, Pearson actually, original Pearson, nervously, "No, it's all right, it's all right." Now Pearson again, means Fitzgerald, severely, "It isn't all right." Now, actually, Fitzgerald was telling to Pearson, and Fitzgerald was looking like Pearson, so she was telling, "It isn't all right. I wouldn't have a daughter of mine talking to anybody like that. Now, answer Mrs. Fitzgerald properly, Doris, or go upstairs again." Mother again taught these to her daughter that, "No, it's not all right at all. I don't want that my daughter should talk to others in such a way. And you should answer Mrs. Fitzgerald in right way. Or if you can't, go upstairs. Doris looks wondering at her father, and Doris was looking, with the sad eyes at her father, because what is going on? Mother had been insulting him whenever he came, and mother was scolding her. Non-stop scolding is going on, and actually she became so helpless. She could not do anything. Mother was getting so much angry, and she was so surprised because in her life she had not, experienced mother to be like these. So she was looking towards her father. Now, what is father's expression? In despair. In despair means father was so much frustrated. She had, leapt the hope. Here she is telling that in despair, here, don't look at me. I give up. I give it up. I just give it up. Means father, father was also so much helpless. Father was telling to Doris, don't look at me like this. I just give up. I just give it up. Means I had given up to control your mother. Your mother got uncontrollable and I can't do anything. Don't look at me like this. Means actually he wanted to tell his daughter that I'm helpless. I cannot help you in this way because I have left the hope to control your mother. This is, a helpless father was telling this to his daughter. Now Pearson fiercely, well, answer her, mother was still. Fiercely, the word fiercely, because so ferocious the word came, as if there is no mercy, there is no consideration. You will have to do with that strictness. Mother was telling this. Answer her, Doris sulkily. Sulkily means that with that, dissatisfied expression. I was going out to Charlie Spence tonight, but now I have called it off now. Doris answered this to Fitzgerald. But yes, I had a plan we'd go with Charlie Spence, but now I have called it off. Called off means cancelled. I have cancelled it. Now Fitzgerald, oh, what a pity, dear. Why have you? Now, real mother, Pearson, but she was looking like Fitzgerald. She asked actually Doris, what's the problem? Why you have done? Is why you have just cancelled your plan of going out with Charlie Spence? He asked. Why you have? Now Doris, with a flash of temper, the daughter is getting so much angry, but unfortunately she could not express her anger towards her mother and told, because if you must know, my mother has been going on at making me feel miserable and saying he's got buck teeth and is half-witted. Now, getting angry, the daughter answered these to Mrs. Fitzgerald that if you really want to know the reason behind it, that you should know that mother had made me so much disappointed. I became frustrated. Not only that, mother had told my boyfriend as buck teeth and half-witted. Means mother had insulted my boyfriend as well. And that might be the reason that I have cancelled everything. Now Mrs. Fitzgerald, rather bolder to Mrs. Pearson. Now Fitzgerald, means real mother told this to Fitzgerald. Oh, you shouldn't have said that, mother told. Now that motherly attitude has come to Mrs. Pearson. She was the original, she was that real mother. So now real mother told this to Fitzgerald. No, you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't have said that. Means as if mother accepted her daughter, he had all the freedom to go with her boyfriend, and mother did not tell anything to her daughter. Was 21, 22 years old. She had all the freedom to go with her boyfriend. And that is the reason that they got so much spoiled. But still, mother was safeguarding her daughter. No, and as if she was complaining against Fitzgerald. No, you should not you should not have told all this. Now, here, Pearson means here Fitzgerald. Certainly. Mrs. Fitzgerald, original Fitzgerald is telling to apparent Fitzgerald. Mrs. Fitzgerald, I will manage my family, you manage yours. Now, Fitzgerald is telling to Pearson. No, no. Here, it seems like that Pearson is telling to Fitzgerald, but actually Fitzgerald is telling to Pearson. So here, Pearson is telling to Fitzgerald, apparently, that, I will manage my family, you manage yours. Now, George grimly, taking her off now, Annie? Taking her off now, are you, Annie? Now, just a few minutes back, wife had suggested, wife had given the lesson to the husband that how you should treat with the neighbor. Now, when the wife is telling the harsh way to the neighbor that just I am managing my family, you manage yours, at this the husband got the point, and immediately the husband pointed out to the wife, now Annie, you got here, where it is, yes, ticking off now, grimly, ticking off her now. Ticking means make angry her now. Are you Annie? Now George is telling to the wife, oh, a few minutes back when I was talking to that woman, you just taught me these lessons, and now you are just actually behaving like these. You are told these, that you manage your own family, so you are making me angry. Now you yourself are doing this, and few minutes back you just taught me the same thing. Now at this, Mrs. Pearson, the wife, even more grimly means being so serious. They are waiting for you at the club. Now, ironically, the wife is telling to the husband, they are waiting for the club. George, don't forget. And don't you start crying again, Doris. Now the wife told again the husband, you just go there. They are all waiting for you at the club. You go there. Means again the wife is insulting the husband. They are means other other club members. They are waiting for you. Why? Because as per the wife, Mr. George Pearson was a standing joke for them. They all make fun of him. That's why he told that they are waiting for all of you. And don't you start crying again, Doris. And again, when the daughter started to cry, no, mother forbid, don't you start crying again, Doris. Now Fitzgerald, getting up with sudden decision. That's enough. Quite enough. Now mother, here, real mother, Pearson, actually she stood up because she could not bear all these things. She could not bear. Now George and Doris stared, bewildered. George and Doris was looking at each other because now Fitzgerald stood up. Actually, Mrs. Original Pearson, she stood up. Why? Because she could not tolerate. She was so lovable. She was so soft. She could not tolerate that her husband, daughter, son had been treated so roughly by Fitzgerald. So she stood up and told, enough is enough, now to George and Doris. Now listen. Now Fitzgerald, apparent Fitzgerald, real Pearson is telling to them, now listen, you two, I want to have a private talk with Mrs. Fitz. She corrects herself hesitantly with Mrs. Pearson. Now, she was Fitzgerald. She was looking like Fitzgerald. Apparently, she was Fitzgerald. But again, it was a slip of tongue that she told her husband and daughter that I am having a private talk with Mrs. Fitz. She was looking like Fitz. So she should say that with Mrs. Pearson. But she was actually Pearson. But she was looking like Fitzgerald because of the interchange. So she told that I want to have a private talk with Mrs. Fitz. Up to Fritz, she corrects herself hastily. With Mrs. Pearson, she told with Mrs. Fritz. Then she corrected herself and told with Mrs. Pearson. So, I'll be obliged if you will leave us alone for a few minutes. And she implored to George Pearson and Doris Pearson that I'll be obliged that if you leave us for a few minutes. I will let you know when we have finished. And told, okay, when I will finish this private talk with Mrs. Fitzgerald, I will let you know. Mrs. Pearson, I will let you. Go on, please. And she's telling, go on. I promise you that you wouldn't regret it. And she told that, yes, I promise you would not regret it. Means you would not feel sorry for these, what I am telling. There is something here that only I can deal with. There is something here that only I can deal with. And Pearson told this to, means looking like Fitzgerald, but Pearson, original Pearson, told this to Doris and George. There is only one thing that I can only manage. At this, the husband told, rising, means husband also stood up. I'm glad somebody can, cause I can't. Told I can't means I cannot manage my wife, but I'm glad that somebody could manage her. Okay, it's good. Come on, Doris, the father called to Doris. Now George and Doris left. Both the father and daughter, they had gone from that room. As they go, Mrs. Fitzgerald moves to the left in the of the small table and sits. And now Mrs. Fitzgerald was sitting there. Mrs. Pearson came and sat beside her. She eagerly beckons with Mrs. Pearson to do the same thing. And beckons means here gesture with hand on head, gesturing with hand on head. So now Mrs. Pearson, original Pearson, was beckoning, making a gesture to original Fitzgerald to exchange this, to do the same thing means to come to the original self. What would happen afterwards? We will see in our next class. So today, as it is time up, thank you very much all for joining my class. And again, we will meet in our next class and we will see what would happen afterwards. Till then, it's goodbye. Thank you.